So Brian KohBerger also pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder charges today, and we can kind of break that down and what led up to that and everything. But essentially, from what I understand, there was a motion that was before the court in trying to make a defense that, hey, there was somebody else here at the murder scene that can be tied to the murders and not just him. And the judge just didn't buy that defense request at all, threw it out, so they couldn't use that as a defense. And so based off that, I think the prosecution decided the evidence is pretty overwhelming. The chances of likelihood of being found guilty are very high. It looks like there were evidence on the knife. He bought the knife. Looks like he communicated with some of the victims beforehand, went to where they worked. So there was a lot of mounting evidence against him, and with the chance of getting the death penalty. So his attorneys thought that, okay, it's better just get that death penalty out. So what that means now is at a plea hearing, the judge has to determine whether or not the plea was made knowingly and voluntarily. And so from there, they enter the plea, and you don't have a right to appeal at that point, kind of, but not really, because you can withdraw your guilty plea for certain reasons, like an argument that, hey, my guilty plea wasn't made knowingly and voluntarily. And so he could try and make that argument down the road. And the reason why it may not have been made knowingly and voluntarily is the argument would be that he had ineffective counsel. His legal counsel didn't properly advise him on all the repercussions of pleading guilty, and or all the evidence, or maybe there is some evidence that the prosecution withheld, or some missing evidence that he wasn't able to make an account in entering into his guilty plea. So I mean, a lot of these cases, even though he technically entered a guilty plea and technically couldn't appeal, could still down the road try and file some kind of post-conviction relief, and a lot of people do. Yeah, I mean, if you're in prison for a long time, might as well. But a lot of people make post-conviction relief cases saying that essentially my constitutional rights were violated, and you have the right to legal counsel. And so if your counsel is ineffective, then you're saying that I didn't really have legal counsel because my legal counsel, I mean, it's a really high standard. You pretty much have to say my legal counsel was in the clouds and had no idea what was going on and really messed up. It's got to be a huge mess up. I mean, it just can't be a strategy and other things. And I mean, it could be like a failure to investigate, failure to talk to witnesses, but it has to be a really big mess up, because there could also be a reason why they decided not to talk to those witnesses or not. So that's pretty much what's going down on that case. Sounds like some of the victims' families aren't happy because they wanted a trial, they wanted death penalty, they wanted some closure. So this is kind of a hit in the sales to them. But on the other hand, the positive is you don't have to deal with a trial, a messy trial. You don't have to go through that messy trial. Nobody has to go through that. And also, if he was found guilty and they did impose the death penalty, there would be tons of also habeas corpus relief type filings by Mr. KohBerger. Whenever there's a death penalty imposed, there's always agencies that step in to help try and avoid the death penalty. So there would be a lot of filings at that point to avoid the death penalty, and you know, based off the type of death penalty state of Idaho might say is considered cruel and unusual punishment. So I mean, I would say that, you know, this is probably the best closure that you can get as a victim, not having to deal with trial, getting life sentence. I mean, yes, knowing that he's still alive, maybe that stinks for some people, but yeah, this is probably the best route.